Welcome back to the Sydney Football Stadium. There's something special happening here today, so it would seem. A capacity crowd at Rugby League headquarters, if not that, short by only a few hundred. Canberra and Canterbury. They lay it on the line today for the right to be the first club through to the grand final of '94. The Bulldogs leave the dressing rooms. A fortnight's rest, being tipped by many to be the first side through. Magnificent atmosphere here, though. It's hard to believe that the Melbourne Cricket Ground, that night we had a crowd twice as big as this. But the SFS, it really has its own atmosphere and character. And here he is, the man that has played more first-grade football than any other human being. Terry Lamb takes the Dogs out. 305 first-grade games for the mighty Terry Lamb today. Scott Wilson, Williams, Hughes, McCracken, Halligan, Lamb, Palmilla, Britt Hetherington, Bella, Smith, Pay, Dimmock. It's the man at the back, Scott Wilson. The team unchanged. Same side that went in against Western Suburbs at their last outing. And there he is, Daryl Halligan. Will he be the difference? He's 24 points short of eclipsing Michael Cronin's record for all points scored or most numbers scored in a rugby league season. Daryl Halligan. Raiders just a little bit slow in coming out. This is what happened this year. Canterbury 17-12 at Belmore, but Canberra scored 3 tries to 2. Halligan's boot was the difference. And then a comprehensive win by Canberra at Bruce Stadium, 36-6 in round 19. And still Canberra not coming from the rooms. Sydney Football Stadium record for these sides. Canberra, of course, won the grand final in '89 and '90. Canterbury won the first grand final ever played here. And now, a team that goes into the match with 4 players under a distinct injury cloud. Just get a little bit of resin on their hands, hoping to make that pass stick a little bit better. Resin in some words, rosin in others. As I get asked the question from the whippersnappers, Canberra go out. And a sea of support here for the Green Machine. There's their team: Mullins, Ribs, Nagas, Meninga, Wiki, Nandruku, Daly, a thigh muscle, Stewart, blood vessel in the knee area, Pongia, Walters, Lomax, a shoulder, Croker, Ferner, Clyde. That's just a quick rundown on their injury problems. And that man, Brett Mullins, he is bound to be tested by the high ball, I would imagine, in the early part of this game. Steve Roach, what's the wind doing? What's it like down there?
Yeah, it's a great atmosphere here. 22 degrees on the ground. The wind's swirling around. I expect the high ball to come into play. I was talking to Tim Sheens a little bit earlier. He's really worried about the Canterbury offloads. He doesn't think the Canterbury are going to try and go around him. He thinks they're going to try and go through.
Greg McCallum is the man in charge of this one. Just wonder who is the favourite to do the grand final. Is it Bill Harrigan? Is it Greg McCallum? This is the major semi-final. So 80 minutes away from now, we'll know whether those tickets you've bought for the grand final are absolutely guaranteed. Meninga starts, and Canberra running into the breeze that is swirling around downstairs as Bella brings it back and is met by Lomax and Pongia and also Walters. And away from Hetherington, the dummy half and hooker for Canterbury. Dean Payet is about to play it. He does that, and Canterbury putting their most potent weapon in many regards into effect immediately. Forwards that just queue up and support the ball carrier, and their ability to offload is second to none. They're out on the 40-metre line in the opening set of 6 in the major semi-final, and Bella takes it up for his second occasion. And Canberra meeting him again with Pongia and Croker. It goes across for Terry Lamb on the last to keep it low. The ball bounces awkwardly, and Mullins is back near his own line. Mullins pursued and away from a... Oh, chance for Canterbury! McCracken! He gets it over the line. A mistake by Canberra turned into a try.
In the very first minutes. A horrendous start there for Canberra, the worst one possible. Terry Lamb driving the ball down. Mullins played at it, everybody's onside. Now he does well to get outside the eventual try scorer, Jared McCracken, but it's a simple pass put down on the far side by Nandruk, who took his eyes off the ball. McCracken had stayed alive. He had Terry Lamb on the inside. Bradley Clyde Bain in his attempt to stop the try scorer. This pass, we saw Matt Sears throw one yesterday. It's cost Canberra a try today.
Well, what a start. Ironically, if Nadruka hangs on to that football, maybe Canberra score down the other end of the football field. But Jared McCracken has come up with a big play there, picking up, running the 10 metres to score. Perfect start for Canterbury.
Let's get into the sidelines. There's been a change already, Steve.
Yeah, Martin Bella off with a nasty gash to the forehead. Mark Brackenshire just warming up on the sideline now.
Okay, here's Halligan then with the conversion from the sideline, 22 metres out. Have a look at it. Oh, it's a beauty. Kenny kick. Canterbury 6-0 after 2 minutes. Meninga brings it back for a restart that I don't think anybody expected this soon in the game, considering the start to two of the semis have gone 0-all after 28 minutes. Meninga's restart sees Lamb and he's in goal, sending the replacement Brockenshire back. So Brockenshire playing it on the first tackle since the restart. This is the second, and Dimmick is put away. 6-0 in favour of Canterbury, a try that you just can't defend against. It was really the try that I suppose Canterbury had thought about defending against Canberra on, because I heard them on the footy show today talking about you just can't make a mistake against them. They'll score a try on you. Talking of mistakes, there's one now.
We've got a double knock on here. There will be a Canberra feed 40 metres out centre field. If Canterbury came into this game feeling good about themselves, they feel even better now after that start. Dean Pay just trying to do a little bit too much. There's always been conjecture about having that week off. The only possible drawback I can see is the timing of the side. They'll have done that much skill work during the fortnight. It won't be a problem for the Dogs.
So Clyde it is, picked up in defence by the Canterbury second rower Jason Smith, who broke very quickly from his scrum. And now David Furner to play the ball just inside the 40-metre line, with Canterbury leading 6-0. And here is Lomax, absolutely barreled by a three-man Canterbury tackle. And McCallum is calling them out. But Lomax, I don't know that Lomax is 100%. Terry Lamb is being called out as captain, but it's a matter to do with Dean Pay. It's a high tackle on the stand-in Canterbury captain during the layoff of Terry Lamb. Watch it again, the number 12, straight across the nose, and the attempted penalty has been accepted for a goal shot by Canberra. Dean Pay, of course, getting out of that biting allegation in that last round match against Western Suburbs.
And putting mistakes back to back there as well, Ray. He was the man that came up with the drop ball, trying to offload. Ball came loose.
So one of the real key factors of the game is Lomax, the trainer, trying to stop the bleeding from that wound to the nose. And David Furner, he may well hold the balance of power here, David Furner, if he can match it with Daryl Halligan. It'll be one huge step for Canberra towards a grand final berth.
I think there's a bit of doubt about him putting this ball dead, Ray, if he does miss it. I know it's only 35, 36 metres out, but that wind is swirling. I don't know if it's any help at all.
Well, there's the kick. It is just inside that upright. So David Furner will be happy with that. 6 points to 2 after 6 minutes. Tim Sheens Probably still getting over the shock of a try being laid on his team after just 90 seconds. Martin Bella in the blood bin and Mark Brokenshire back on. The Canterbury side, as he often has done right through the year, he's been a very reliable replacement. In fact, both teams are very strong in the depth department. Lomax apparently is okay after taking a high shot, and this is Nagus now scampering away from dummy half. But a very strong tackle by Brokenshire, and now Quentin Pongia goes towards Terry Lamb. And there's Bello having been strapped up, ready to come back into combat, and this is Steve Walters now on the 30-metre line. You might recall in the final series last year, a couple of the teams, they aimed their attack straight at Terry Lamb, trying to soak up his energy for attacking purposes, and it worked well for them as Ricky Stewart finds the line and then urges the Raiders to keep it coming. Come on.
I think Greg McCullen's indicating that's been touched in flight, and Canberra have got the feed here.
It's exactly right, Phil. That attempted charge down, which we've put a question on the value of it in the modern game. We'll see Canberra get the feed. That's why Stewart was bouncing around on the balls of the feet. He was inspired by it, and they come up with the scrum. I was watching Dimmick. He got out of the scrum and then put his head back in it.
Yeah, the scrum play really worked, getting them offside. They go wide, Canberra.
Here's Mullins down the right of the ground. They're coming at him, but they won't get him. And this champion fullback scores. Oh, they made it look so easy. 7 minutes gone and 6 all. I'll tell you what, if he's got broken ribs, he's running all right.
Well, the value of the ball being touched from the Ricky Stewart kick exemplified here by the fact that they had the scrum feed. A lovely play there. Jared McCracken was caught all ends out there. Scott Wilson had to come into the play, and once Brett Mullins gets on the outside of the defence, it shut the gate. But the play that Canberra put on worked perfectly because it caused McCracken to come in off his man.
And Jason Williams didn't read it either. He came in when he shouldn't have. Wilson tried in vain to plug the hole that was left there, but Mullins too quick. So Canberra hit back straight away.
It's just what we talked about before the game. Jared McCracken has a tendency to come in defence and doesn't read plays that are developing on the outside. And Canberra have just got the man, Brett Mullins, who can show a pace to be on the inside of McCracken and then within 2 strides be on the outside into the hole that he leaves. Canterbury caught napping there. Not many sides attack from scrums these days. Canberra held it up and made sure Canterbury hold their line, and then were able to get the run-around play and Mullins on the outside of his man. That's going to be a warning for McCracken too, who earlier in the game lined up on the right side in defence. That mistake was made on the left-hand side of the field in defence for Canterbury, and he's going to be hesitant now all day coming up in defence.
Well, we were critical of Jared McCracken in the 36-6 loss. He was under an injury cloud that particular night. No such dramas now, but he really didn't read things well there, and David Ferner a chance to put his side in front after a horrible start.
174 points for the season. That left the boot okay, but it's gone just across the face of the uprights. So 9 minutes gone and 6 points all the score.
Let's
What
just
a
have
sensational start to the game.
Have a look how this unfolds. Look at McCracken come in there. Now, I think Jason Williams, he was caught in no man's land. I know that he probably had to stay out as well, but the fact that the people inside didn't read it put pressure on him. And there ended up being 2 or 3 Raiders on the outside of all the Canterbury cover.
So we're back with John Lomax now. Oh, Lomax. Pile driven into the ground. Well, I've said 100 times there's no better front row forward going around than John Lomax, and he's as tough as teak, but they're really searching him out as Clyde tries to spiral out of the tackle of Martin Bella, but he had him on the hurdy-gurdy. Away from Nandruku to Stewart, and Stewart, he keeps it low. Wilson put a hand up. If he touched it, then everybody's onside. He's 12 metres out, and he apparently did touch it because Canberra didn't even think about staying outside the 10.
Well, Ricky Stewart led the chase down. He kicked, everybody was onside anyway, and I think Scott Wilson saw that that was the case.
So Halligan, it is 22 metres out from the Canterbury line now, with 6 points all on the scoreboard. And of course, Canterbury in their last meeting with Canberra went down by 36-6. So I guess in one respect they've done as well as they did at Bruce, and of course with high aspirations of going a mile better today.
That was a nice option by Ricky Stewart, just to remind Scott Wilson not to get too close to the defensive line. It wasn't tackle 5. He realised Wilson had crept up and was able to get one over his head. Knew his team wasn't going to be ready to chase, so he led the charge, like Peter Sterling said.
Penalty has gone to Canterbury against Canberra inside the 10. They take the quick tap, and Lamb it is, looking for McCracken, who angles back. McCracken plays the ball as Canberra, they get themselves back into a straight line formation. Williams is put away, 22 out, tackled by Nagus, away from Pay. It's gone to Darren Britt. And Britt it is who's tackled about 15 out from the Canberra line, from one end of the ground to the other. Now it's Canterbury's opportunity to put further points on the board. Palmilla and Lamb, they put on a run around, and it's Palmilla who's held. No gain in ground. Lomax over the top in the tackle. Walters underneath. Stewart involved, and now it's Dimmick, and then across. And Jason Smith, a pass was a beauty. Jason Williams, he puts it down in the corner. Jason Smith's pass was an absolute ripper.
And the back row of this Canterbury side has been instrumental in them being so successful this year, and this is exactly why. Have a look at the crunching tackle from Mal Meninga. That would have put a player out for a couple of weeks, but he was still able to get the football away, Jason Smith. And Jason Williams able to put the ball down out wide. He had no right to get this ball away. In fact, he should have been down in a crumpled mess.
Yeah, wonderful ball by Smith and Dimmick. Great teamwork. Williams a good finisher. We've had 13 minutes and 16 points. So it looks as though we're in for a high-scoring affair today.
Canterbury there meeting the challenge. I mean, their first try could have been described as soft, coming off a Canberra error. Canberra hit back straight away, but that'll get the Canberra defence guessing now. They realise the ability in these back row forwards. That was a great try, thoroughly well constructed. A run around on the right-hand side of the field with Palmilla and Lamb. Canberra snuff that out and think the job's over, but suddenly 3 ball players, Dimmick, Smith, very much to the fore on the far side of the field.
Halligan then, another very difficult assignment. That's where he is, just outside the 20-metre line, just inside the touchline. It's exactly the same kick from the opposite side of the ground, and here it comes. Oh, does he ever miss? He makes goal kicking look boring. But not for Canterbury, it's not boring. Look at the scoreboard, 12-6 to them, 13 gone. Meninga with the restart. Delay to that restart was brought about by Greg McCallum. Just having a bit of trouble with his ear plug or his wiring system to his touch men. And now it's Dean Pay back out to the 20-metre line. Darren Britt now. Big man, formerly with Western Suburbs, has been a fine attribute for Canterbury. He gets through probably twice as much work as he need. Martin Bell is off again, Steve.
Yeah, he's in the blood bin, but it's a different cut. How's his head going?
Typical Steve Roach comment, talking about a man's misfortune, blood streaming from a second cut, and Steve ends off not with a full stop, but with some laughter. Nandruku comes away off the 10-metre line, and he's tackled 20 metres out from his own line. Clyde now coming out from dummy half. No vampires in your family, are there, Steve? Away from Steve Walters, a dummy half now, and Canberra rucking it out towards the 30. They're trailing by 12 points to 6. 2 tries to 1. Oh, Darren Britt, he got a shoulder on Lomax. Lomax, he is the most popular target out there today.
Well, of course, he was one of those players, Ray, coming in under a fitness cloud. They've tested that fully. The thing I like about John Lomax is Ricky Stewart gets a great kick down the right-hand corner as Lomax keeps fronting.
Well, that ball, it actually bounced and started coming back up the ground towards Ken Nagus. Eventually it touches the sideline. So the scrum will go down on the Canterbury 20-metre line. The lower grades today, Cronulla defeated Canterbury 32-0 in the President's Cup Major semi-final, and reserve grade, Cronulla 16, Newcastle 14, and I guess that's a popular result in view of the passing of one of their players, young Ben Lysart, during the week in tragic circumstances. Bella with Steve Folkes prepares to get ready again.
On that scrum feed there, with Canterbury having the feed, Laurie Daly packed in at lock forward, and Bradley Clyde was out defending in the centres. Now there may be some injury concern with Laurie Daly, or maybe it's just a ploy to get him back to the blind side in defence a little quicker than if he was normally defending at 5'8". A couple of reasons could be there, but an interesting ploy there from Canberra.
Dean Payet is then up towards the halfway line. Canberra already reminded that you've really got to lock the ball up when you take a Canterbury forward, because they're all very adroit at offloading. And that was how the try came for Jason Williams. The kick ahead from Hetherington has Nandruku inside out for a couple of strides. He's going to have to do something very special. He does that. Back into the field of play, and had to wait a moment for a dummy half to arrive. Clyde is back there as per normal. Mullins is with him, and Mullins probably doesn't need to do this running out from dummy half. It sets him up for an easy shot, and they get a penalty now. Canterbury inside the 10.
Canterbury obviously targeted Noah Dadruka's side of the field as the best side of the field to kick. Does get a little bit hesitant with the rolling ball. And they've had good success on their chases down there. They've got full value for their kicks.
So 12-6 with 23 minutes of the first half remaining. Plenty of action after a sensational start that saw Canterbury score a try inside the first 2 minutes. Centre of the ground then, 32 metres out from the Canberra line, and Palmilla it is who gets it within 10 metres of halfway. Lomax puts his hand up for a run, and he draws several defenders into him as he grinds the play up towards the halfway. And here's a penalty to Canterbury. That's for incorrect playing of the ball, for not rising. McCallum down on his knees and saying you must rise to your feet immediately and play the ball. Lomax, some concern about his nose. See, they claim that that is an incorrect play of the ball, and it is according to the rule book.
That penalty was given 5 minutes ago. John Lomax had one earlier, and Greg McCullum was going to penalise him, had the whistle to his mouth and didn't go on with it, but he didn't have the same tolerance that time.
Well, there's no doubt about what this wind is doing now that we've seen Halligan opt out of the shot at goal from 45 metres out, and they take the tap, and this is the second play since that tap kick.
And again, you could see the same setup in the Canterbury attack with Palmilla and Lamb to the right-hand side, to the left, Dean Pay, Dimmick and Jason Smith. Great tackle there from Pongia. What great options for the Canterbury side on both sides of the ruck.
Away now for Palmilla, pushed on for Lamb. He was given a decoy by Hughes. McCracken was the man meant for the ball, but a good tackle by Bradley Clyde. Hughes a dummy half, gives it for Palmilla. Palmilla almost to the 10-metre line. He's rounded up and tackled by Ricky Stewart and Bradley Clyde. And this is the last, and it goes across for Terry Lamb to put it in the air. It's not a bad kick, and a bit of a test for Nagus. He knocks it down. Mullins picks it up. It'll be a line dropout.
Yes, a test for Nagus, and Jason Williams coming through to put the pressure on. And Canberra have folded here, so they'll get the ball back, Canterbury. It was almost tackled without the ball. The referees let it go. So Canterbury get another chance to put more pressure on. They look good when they got the football.
The dropout by Ricky Stewart is a very long kick, 53 metres on the bounce, and indicative that the breeze is very much with the Raiders in the first half.
That's poor work from Canterbury, not catching that football on the full. I think you sacrificed 10 to 15 metres by letting it bounce, and you can see there Palmilla was tackled 45 metres out from his opponent's try line.
Hetherington it is in the number 9 shirt today, and across it comes through Smith and Dimmick. They try to get outside the Canberra compressed defence with a long pass for Williams. Nagus was there, and sliding across in defence was Laurie Daly. And here's Darren Britt getting it away. Dimmick out the back, and Canterbury with a real good chance of setting up something here, because Hetherington has taken it within about 12 metres of the line, and here's a penalty coming against Quentin Pongia. It'll be a kick right in front for Canterbury.
This is silly play by Pongia. McCallum's got him for something in the tackle. And it's a gift 2 points for Halligan. Will come in now and have a shot. Hetherington fighting in the tackle, breaks away and goes for it again. Clyde grabs him, and there's Ponga throwing the arms around, and it looked like a half-ply forearm there.
Well, as if Halligan isn't dangerous enough when he's converting tries from the sideline. Now we offer him one from right in front, and there's no doubt that Ponga deserved the penalty looking at the replay, and he did it in full view of McCallum. There's no need for a touch judge to assist in any ruling because McCallum was looking down on it like an eagle hawk. Problem for Jason Smith now, who laid on the try for Jason Williams, the second try for Canterbury. Very confident start by Canterbury, and Halligan from right in front. The flags go up, and so Canterbury enlarge their lead. The minor premiers leading now by 14-6, and 22 minutes of the game gone. Reading with interest a story primarily devoted to Chris Anderson's thoughts on Canberra, and he made a very good point that they're a side that you're much better leading against if it's possible. They seem to grow in confidence if they are in front and wheeling and dealing. As Meninga restarts, he sends it deep down to Terry Lamb as we go down to Steve Roach.
Yeah, Jason Smith just come over to the sideline to see the doctors. He's got a bit of a groin problem, but they're letting him go on.
A big shoulder charge by Noah Nandruku, and it's Canterbury now working it out through Dean Pay towards the 20-metre line as Hetherington offloads and the forwards get in the line. And they take it out to a point about 28 metres out from their own line. They are leading by 14-6, Canterbury-Bankstown, and looking very, very sharp and looking as though they've derived a tremendous amount of benefit from the rest. That was a forward pass from the dummy half, and the touch judge called it. McCallum didn't see it originally because he's back 10 metres with Canberra, and this wiring of the touch judges for sound, maybe they don't see a few things, but I'll tell you what, they are getting so many things right for rugby league. It's good.
As soon as that forward pass was awarded and they knew they had the scrum field, Laurie Daly has turned and said something to Brett Mullins. We could see another set play coming here, although the scrum is screwed on them.
Well, the scrum not only screwed, it came down for Canterbury to win the scrum. You can't really complain, can you? You've got all the advantages in the world. You're not really entitled to lose one, but there's something rare, a scrum against the feed. As Lamb looks for McCracken. McCracken tries to get around Furner, but he's tidied up by him and by Bradley Clyde. Meninga had a piece of the action as it comes away now for Dean Pay to try and shoulder his way through. He made a further 10 metres. And now Canterbury get ready to stack their attack on the left of the ground through Polomounta and back for Jason Smith, who's put down by Ponga over the top and Croker down low. And this is the last tackle as we find Terry Lamb trying to roll the ball almost between the legs of Laurie Daly. It finished up with Laurie Daly. No knock on. It came off his legs according to referee McCallum, and now Canterbury are penalised for being inside the 10, and Ricky Stewart takes a quick tap. Another penalty. Scott Wilson is in the sin bin. Scott Wilson is in the sin bin. He made no attempt to get back the 10 metres, and McCallum has ruled a professional foul.
Well, Scott Wilson actually thought he was back 10 metres. He thought that he was one player, the required distance, and rushed up. McCallum has seen it differently, and Ricky Stewart again takes the quick tap, finds Brett Mullins.
You see, I don't agree with something that just happened there. As we watch Canberra try and make something out of this, they've got it down to 32-metre point. I'll come back to it in a moment, but it to me seems grossly unfair that a captain isn't allowed to ask a question and then be allowed to get back the 10 metres. He allowed Canberra to go on the attack with Terry Lamb, in fact, inside the 10 and couldn't take any part. Well, so they're already down to 12, and without Terry Lamb, they had 11.
There's 4 penalties to Canberra in the space of about 27 seconds. So, I mean, I actually thought that Scott Wilson was dead set onside. I thought he was back to 10, and he just rushed up and got Stewart.
Well, I'm very surprised that they did kick for touch here, even though they are up against 12. They're 8 behind. 2 points, Furner would have put that dead, but they've all the eggs in one basket. Ruben Wiki, who hasn't touched the football, goes centre field.
So Steve Walters scurries into dummy half. We haven't seen any dummy half running from him as yet. It might not have been a game that's lent itself to that At this point, as Palmilla plays it, Lomax lines up in close quarters with Croker, and Croker's about 3 metres out from the line. Across for Stewart, he holds it, and the decoy runner takes a bit of heat off. They go back to the centre for Bradley Clyde, and Clyde is tackled 9 metres out from the Canterbury line. He'll play it back for Brett Mullins, away for Stewart. They switch the point again. Daly goes in looking for an opening. It's with Palmilla. Palmilla gets it out, and it's come down for Ferner. Canterbury have come out of the line. Meninga works with Nagus, and Nagus is put away. A valuable tackle by Jason Smith. 5 tackles gone, and Canberra have actually lost metres in this play. Stewart now goes to the air, across the field looking for Nandruku. Halligan's lost it completely, and it's with Canterbury just outside their own line.
Well, that was great play there by Jason Williams, who came from the left wing to get over there to back up Halligan. Halligan made the blue, but fantastic play by Williams. You've got to understand, he's run 70 metres to cover there. Well done by Jason Williams.
The thing is, if Noah Nandruku hadn't have been so intent on cleaning up his opposite winger, he'd have just about come up with the football and a try.
So Brokenshire, who's had a fair bit of this match on his plate, as a replacement for Martin Bella. And now Lamb heads out across the park and links up with McCracken, and McCracken gets a great pass away for Lamb, who grubber kicks back into the centre. And it's Mullins who's coming away with it now. He's able to beat the tackle of Lamb and escape the tackle of Halligan. So Halligan's out of the play. Mullins has beaten another and then put away 38 metres out. That is great football by Mullins. Now with Stewart, he crosses the 40, heads for the 30, throws the big pass. Daly is with it. Daly wrestled down. Good defence by Stephen Hughes. Walters goes up to the 30-metre line now. Wiki on for Stewart. Stewart on for Daly. Daly then for Ferner. Ferner throws a couple of dummies, comes out the other side, and Daly again attracting a lot of attention, taken by Jason Smith. And now played back for Nagus and given for Lomax. Lomax, he's almost to the 20-metre line. 5 tackles gone again for Canberra. Great scrambling defence by Canterbury-Bankstown as Stewart goes for the cross-kick bomb. Mullins is going quickly. The bounce is there for McCracken. Jared McCracken comes down with it for Canterbury.
And Ricky Stewart got exactly the bounce he wanted. Unfortunately, it favoured Jared McCracken and not the chasers. He wanted it to bounce back towards his men. Lovely kick here. They're onside. And there's the ball bouncing up. Great kick, good chase. Now Canterbury taking the ball out through Pollamount.
Just while Scott Wilson's off the field, Jason Williams has gone back to fullback, and Craig Pollamount is defending on the left wing. Now Canberra will be awake to that for the next couple of minutes. I can suggest when they get the ball, they'll move the ball to their right, Canterbury's left, looking at the inexperienced Craig Pollamount on the wing.
In the meantime, it's put on the boot by Jason Hetherington, and Nagus goes back. He's heading off towards Mullins over in the centre of the park. And he's away from Lamb, he's through a gap, and there's a hole, and he's out now over the halfway, puts a swerve into his work, he's over the 30, will he go all the way? Here comes Ricky Stewart. Stewart hasn't got the pace, has he? He's pulled down a metre out. Williams again making a try-saving tackle, but the Raiders are on the attack. As McCallum says to Stewart, get up and play the ball. Nagus away, it's with Nandruku. Nandruku has taken the ground and loses the ball, but it's a penalty to Canberra.
Yeah, great advantage played there by Greg McCallum. I thought Nagus would score. Ricky Stewart quickly wants the ball so he can take the tap. 2 balls on the field slows things down, and the momentum's gone, but great work from Williams again.
A super defensive effort there. He showed him the sideline, and it was just fantastic play by with the winger come fullback. Canberra on the attack now. Surely they must score.
Lomax, 5 metres out from the Canterbury line. Walters across for Stewart. A long pass of nearly 20 metres for Daly Meninga. Now they get outside Canterbury. It's Nandruku who's tackled 11 metres away from the Canterbury line. Well, the Bulldogs already have been able to survive a lot of tackles. Can they keep surviving? Wiki is put down. 11 metres out from the Canterbury line. Played back to Walters and across for Daly to knock on.
Had a bit of a peak, Laurie. And you can see Tim Sheen's reaction. He knows that this is a crucial stage of the game, up against 12 men. looking at the defence. And if Stephen Hughes, if there was any doubt about him playing semi-final football, some of the defensive tackles that he's been able to come up with in the last couple of minutes has gotten rid of any doubts.
Broken shear comes off and Bella goes on as the scrum is won by Canterbury in the face of their own uprights.
Just on that great run by Kenny Nagas. I mean, sometimes a sin bin, well, not often a sin bin's an advantage, but had Scott Wilson been back at fullback, I doubt he could have footed it with Kenny Nagas. Jason Williams back there while Wilson's in the sin bin and was able to show the pace to save the try.
Here's Big Bella bringing the crowd to their feet. Tackled on the halfway line across from Hetherington. It's gone back now for Dimmock. And Dimmock driven by David Furner. Well, the passage of play that has just expired, it must act as a great confidence booster for Canterbury. They really withstood everything that Canberra had to offer, and they did it with 12 men. So now this scrum will go down inside Canberra's 20-metre line. Half-time is now 8.5 minutes away. 14-6, 2 tries to 1, and 3 goals to 1. The scoreboard in front for Canterbury-Bankstown. 3 minutes left on the sin bin clock, we're told, for Scott Wilson. Canberra, as yet, unable to capitalise on the misfortune of Canterbury and Scott Wilson. They'll be keen to do something, even from this part of the Sydney Football Stadium, as they go pretty wide on the first play, and Mullins is pulled down by McCracken. They keep going to the blind side, and Bradley Clyde tries to hammer his way through the defence, but this Canterbury defence is not the type that you can cut through all that easily. Nagas across now and picking up Jason Croker. Croker with the 11 jumper on his back. He plays it on the 20-metre line. They come back to the blind for the captain to take a run. Meninga, a surging run from him, finds the 30-metre line. And he plays it back for Walters to give on from Stewart across for Daly. Daly stands looking for runners. They are really camped on Laurie Daly. And Daly has done everything he can to offer the pass. That came off a Canterbury player, so everybody's onside. Clyde can take this ball. He does that, and they get 6 more tackles. A chance then for Canberra. Meninga a dummy half. He goes to Lomax on a wide blind side, and now they've lost it. Croker, he lost it, and Britt gives it away for Palmilla. Canberra offering many uncustomary mistakes as McCracken is put away on the halfway line. Hetherington on. And this is Dean Pay, met by David Furner. 6 3/4 minutes to go now to the halftime break, and a comfortable lead for Canterbury, 14 points to 6. This is Jason Smith, we believe carrying a groin muscle injury, and Bella hits it on the blind side to the 20-metre line. 5 tackles gone for the Dogs as the dummy half sweeps it across to his captain, who shapes for a drop goal. It didn't get off the landing, off the tarmac, and it goes over the dead ball line. So it'll come out to the 20-metre point for the restart. Scott Wilson up there in the tunnel, waiting to come out under the watchful eye of the sin bin officials. And it's Canberra. Scott Wilson back on, and Canberra taking it almost to the 40-metre line through Brad Clyde. A beautiful day in Sydney, not a cloud in the sky. And just about a capacity crowd here to watch Canberra and Canterbury do battle. And I guess both of them feel whoever wins this is going to have another appointment with them in a fortnight's time. This is Ricky Stewart now, playing it back for his hooker, Steve Walters. And Walters, one of the best dummy half runners in the game. He hasn't ventured into that area of his game as yet. Nandruku's coming fast on this, and Scott Wilson had to hurry his work. He plays it just inside the 20-metre line. It's gone across now for Williams, and Williams steps around one. He tries to beat a second, but he's pulled down.
Excellent work there by Jason Williams. He knows that Daryl Halligan isn't the quickest player in the world out of dummy half. That would have been 2 cheap tackles for the Canberra side, but he raced back and got himself in a position for Halligan to throw the pass in field.
McCracken then plays it 30 metres out from his line, and this is Dean Pay once more. What a big season it's been for Dean, State of Origin, and of course having the honour of leading Canterbury in the absence of the captain. There's Martin Bella now takes it almost to the halfway line. Bella has seen very little of the match, so obviously he's still quite fresh. He's minus maybe a few ounces of blood, but he's got plenty of oxygen left in the lungs as we find Mullins now, the scorer of the Canterbury try, pulled down 25 out from his own line. Nandruku gives it away for Bradley Clyde, and they're trying to get across the park as quickly as they can. They're out with Nagus, and Nagus is away from one, but taken again by Williams. Well, the contribution by Jason Williams in the first half, I hope it hasn't gone unnoticed, because Canberra could have been in for at least 2 tries had it not been for Jason Williams.
Well, Tim Sheens was talking about bustling defence, and that's exactly what we're seeing from Canterbury. Great ball there to Brad Clyde, can't find support. The one thing that Canberra are struggling to do is to find players in better positions than the man throwing the football. As Meninga comes back inside and earns a penalty, this will help.
Canterbury then inside the 10 metres, 14-6 in favour of them. The coach perched up in the stands with the two-way, and he'll be very, very keen to take this 8-point lead into the half-time break, which is 3.5 minutes away. The tap is to be taken by Steve Walters, and Lomax is there in close quarters, but he's only a decoy as Stewart goes across to Meninga, and Meninga is pulled down 20 metres out from the Canterbury line. A converted try coming into half-time will certainly be what Canberra's looking for, as Palmilla is put away by Bella over the top of the tackle there of Terry Lamb, and Walters goes out to a wide blind side. They channel back in, looking for a corridor to present itself up the centre, and Lomax again on the end of a driving tackle. Walters now with Stewart. The run around is offered, and then he goes back looking for Daly. Daly then finds Ruben Ricky, but Canterbury, everywhere Canberra looks for a gap, they're there waiting with a player in defence, and now it's David Furner, 10 metres out, 5 tackles gone. Will they go to the air? It's with Stewart. Stewart puts it back, opposite direction to the way he was running. Is there a chance here? The ball is there for Canterbury to dive on. It's a line drop out.
Well, this Canterbury defence has been nothing short of sensational. Everything that Canberra do, inside balls, outside balls, cutouts, there's a Canterbury defender there to meet them. It's almost like they know what Canberra are all about today, and they put in a tremendous effort on the end of a 7-3 penalty count as well.
This line drop out will give Canberra the opportunity for 6 more shots at them before half-time. By the time they come in contact with the ball, there'll be 2 minutes remaining to the break. Halligan's drop kick bounces up nicely for Mullins. Mullins goes straight down the park, and he'll get it back to almost the 30-metre line. A diving tackle picks him off. The tackle of Terry Lamb, played by Mullins, and now Clyde. Clyde is 25 metres out from the Canterbury line. And Walters goes into dummy half as Lomax gets in the queue. It goes to Pongia. Pongia up to the 20-metre line. A lot of one-out running by Canberra. If in fact a player gets his arms free, I sometimes wonder whether it's any value to them. There's no ball support to the man carrying it. Here's Meninga! Meninga! Oh, the big bloke! He stampedes across right on half-time. That's what they were working for with their one-out plays. Never mind about ball support on that play or that play. This is the one we're working for.
And the first time that Canterbury have been a little bit lazy. And Mal Meninga straight in the middle. Good decoy run from Stewart. As Mal Meninga is picked up, comes back inside. As we freeze play there, you can see that these players for Canterbury, they didn't think there was any danger from Meninga coming up the middle there. It was too late by the time they'd reacted to get across. Martin Bella couldn't do a thing, and the big fella he's come up with an enormous play on the stroke of half-time.
Yeah, Mal Meninga, the captain. Scott Wilson once again found wanting in defence, a miss there. And the Canterbury forwards too slow, and Big Melly's had a fairly quiet match so far. But that's what they were looking for, the mighty Canberra Raiders.
So 14-10, right on half-time. David Furner with a simple kick right in front. Matter of seconds to the siren. And David Furner with 1 out of 2 so far. It was just a matter of whether Canberra could get more points on the board in front of half-time. And they've managed to do that, and now they've capitalised even further. So at half-time, as they file from the ground, Canterbury leading Canberra 14-12, 2 tries all, 3 goals to 2 though in favour of Canterbury. That's the difference. They'll turn around with Canterbury having the breeze in the second half. Here's a break, then we're back with Sterlo and Fatty and their half-time look at the game. Welcome back to the Sydney Football Stadium. Canterbury are leading Canberra 14-12. And this, of course, the major semi-final. The winner going through to the grand final in a fortnight's time. And the loser goes back to next Sunday to meet North Sydney in the final. Canterbury coming from the dressing rooms now, leading by just 2 points. They'll be disappointed that it wasn't by 8 points. But I guess something had to give, because for a very good portion of that first half, they were made to do some incredible defending. Big crowd in at the Sydney Football Stadium. I would imagine up around 40,000, if not a shade more than that. The ground record stands at 43,500. And as you can see, just about every vantage point has been taken. Normally you get a very good idea of how many people are in at the Sydney Football Stadium by looking at the members section, and if it's full, then there's nothing left. Canberra getting ready to come back out. It's no use saying that they were unlucky in the first half. The penalty count was with them. 7-3 in their favour, and they had plenty of chances. They made a lot of mistakes, and Canterbury deserved their lead, although I wonder whether Canterbury would have been in front at all if it had not been for the efforts of Jason Williams, their winger. An outstanding first half of football for him. So Canberra comes back out, winners of the grand final in 89 and 90. The year before it was Canterbury. In fact, these two clubs have seen quite a bit of grand final duty. Canterbury have played in 12 grand finals. They've won 6. Canberra have played in 4 and won 2. Down on the sideline, Steve Roach. He's played in a few himself.
Well, in the Canberra room, Tim Sheens pretty happy with the Canberra's attack. He just said they've made more mistakes in this game than they have all year. They've got to settle down a bit, start off well in the second half. He said stop Canterbury from getting easy yardage. That was the thing he was worried about before the game. He thinks his players are standing there, ball watching their forwards. You've got to go in and make the tackle. In the Canterbury-Bankstown room, one change. Jason Smith is off with a groin injury, and Darren Smith, his brother, is on. And Chris Anderson just said, look, fellas, we're well in control of this game. You've got to start well in this second half. We're on top. It was just a bit of bad luck. Just play with a bit of confidence.
All right, Steve, thank you very much. Greg McCallum blows time on as Ricky Stewart shields the sun from his eyes. Of course, the breeze is with Canterbury in this second half. It's gusting up to about 20 knots at times, coming from the east-northeast, we're told. And it must be a distinct advantage to the team running with it, as Bradley Clyde is put away 20 metres out from his own line. Walters going into dummy half, and David Furner is the first of the forwards, and he almost cracks them. It can go down as a half break for David Furner as it goes from Walters across now, and Stewart puts the kick in. Wilson's got a long run back across, and then the bounce turns him around. He's back on the 10-metre line, and he comes back down to be taken by Nagus. Played by Wilson now, and it's Williams who comes away outside the 20-metre point on Canterbury's second tackle. I'm just looking at Scott Wilson. He's not 100%, the Canterbury fullback, after taking the tackle.
Very interesting, the decision. Wilson does limp back into position by Chris Anderson at half-time to bring on Darren Smith. He was named in the reserve grade game yesterday against St George, and Simon Gillies was the interchange player named. Maybe with Darren Smith out there, a little bit more flair with the football than Gillies, who is one of the best defenders in the competition.
So now Canterbury-Bankstown off the boot of Terry Lamb. They head down inside the 20-metre line. The bouncing ball for Nagus. And Ken Nagus, who made that long, incisive run in the first half that nearly led to a try. Well, he's just been picked up and cradled back. Loses the ball. That's inexcusable, really. And Mullins has to clean it up. And Mullins is put away by Halligan just out from the line. And Nagus just absolutely coughed the ball up as he was driven back by the Canterbury defence.
And Canterbury just needed one more player here, and this could have been a try. Luckily, Mullins was back there. Some big defence now from Canterbury.
So Stewart it is with the pass across for Daly, and he throws the dummy before going out looking for Croker. A fairly quiet half by Laurie Daly in many respects in that first 40 minutes. He was well marked, of course, but it does make you wonder if he's in this match fully fit.
I notice he's wearing those pad things around his legs. He didn't have them on last week, so maybe he's protecting a leg injury.
Stewart trying to get a kick in, and Dean Pay pulls him down, and Stewart's kick finds the line only by inches. Out on the 30-metre line for Canberra.
He may have found the line only by inches, but he still handed the opposition the football in extremely good field position. I don't know what Ricky Stewart was trying to do there. He didn't have a great deal of support, ready to attack back to his right. What they needed was to drive the football down there and muscle up in defence.
14 points to 12 then, early minutes of the second half. Canterbury leading over Canberra as Lamb comes across and tries to channel McCracken back in towards the half 5/8 area. The ball played, they keep wrapping to the right. Darren Smith is tackled just inside the 30-metre point. Another show of the great depth of both these clubs to bring a State of Origin player off your reserves bench. Darren Smith is out there doing that at the moment. That's him in a dummy half for Hetherington, and then for Lamb. Lamb comes down the blind side for Stephen Hughes. The pass goes to Lamb. He was on the ground, and then Darren Brick goes back towards the centre. Canberra a bit standoffish in defence, and Darren Smith will play the ball. Hetherington sweeps it across for Jim Dimmick to look up the centre, and he finds Darren Smith, and Darren holds it back. Tries to get it, does get a pass away. Stephen Hughes finds Craig Palmilla, and Palmilla is put down about 8 metres away from the Canberra line. Tackle number 5 is with us as it goes to Lamb. He rolls it in behind them, but it'll go over the dead ball line. And back out to the 20-metre point for the restart.
That's one thing about Craig Palmilla's play, and I think it's been picked up by most first-grade sides. When he's in traffic, he does not pass the ball. I mean, he had options to get the ball on the inside and the outside a couple of times in those sets of 6, but when he's in traffic, he prefers to burrow in and go himself. His quick play the ball, though, does allow the likes of Dimmick and Lamb to go from the next play.
Here's the ball coming out of the tackle. It might have got a bit of assistance from the tackler. It's gone unchecked as it goes across to Daly, and then for Bradley Clyde, but McCracken shadowing Clyde. And now Walters, or Ferner it is, who takes it ahead. Steve Walters now getting into dummy half, and he goes for, to my memory, the first of his dummy half runs in the game. Oh, McCracken picked up the big fella and drove him into the ground. You don't very often see Mal Meninga on the end of that. And now Daly's kick, it goes down on the second bounce for Scott Wilson to come outside the 20. He's heading outside the 30, gone straight between 2 or 3 players. And that's a good long run by Scott Wilson, the full-back. Darren Smith, here's the call from the captain, and Terry Lamb takes a forward play up towards the halfway line.
The Raiders are a bit off their game, but they've been forced off it by this relentless Canterbury defence and the ability of the Bulldogs to almost play touch football. They will pass in every situation, and invariably it finds the right hands. Here's Stephen Hughes, straight up the middle. Plenty of gaps now in this Canberra defence.
Jason Croker was at marker, but he's had his back to the oncoming attack. Something you can't afford to do. Thus they made the ground away from Palmilla through Lamb, and now with Dean Pay. He goes out wide, loses the ball, and it's in the hands of Nagus now. So the pressure valve comes off for Canberra. 14 to 12 then. You're watching the 9 coverage around Australia exclusive of the big one, the big semi-final. Stewart gives the pass, and out wide it's David Ferner reaching the 20-metre line.
Canterbury playing on plenty of nervous energy and emotion at the moment. Now, their preparation coming into this game probably not as hardened as that of Canberra, who had a semi-final type game against Manly at Brookvale, then that semi-final against North Sydney last week. Canterbury, an easy game against West in their last round in a fortnight's break. If they use up too much energy in the first 20 minutes of this second half, Canberra could finish the stronger.
Well, McCallum's going to put a scrum down here. This will not please John Lomax. Lomax was taken in a 3-man tackle. Keep in mind, he's already been penalised for playing the ball incorrectly. That's not the case here, but does this get some assistance? It doesn't appear to, does it? So Lomax is having plenty of problems in the play the ball. And Canterbury come up with a scrum win, 35 out from the Canberra line. And this is a dangerous period for Canberra. Daly is forced to make the tackle on Hughes. McCracken looks to go up the blind side with support, but there was none there. And McCracken is pulled down.
Well, a sign of the defence that is performing well means that there's good marker defence. As the ball comes back to Craig Palmilla and 6 again to the Bulldogs. Sometimes the Raiders only getting one marker there. That's got to be a worry.
Bella takes the first of a new set of 6, 10 metres out from the Canberra line. There's a big question mark whether Canberra can hold Canterbury on this set. They've been asked to endure plenty of pressure. Darren Smith has got the line in his sights, but he's pulled down 2 metres away. In front of him is the try line. If they can get it over and convert it, that might be it. It could be Canterbury first team in. It's Lamb who's put away just outside the 10-metre line by Jason Croker. The second tackle is gone, or third tackle gone on this set of 6. Possibly one more as it goes out to McCracken. McCracken is put down. Yes, this is 5 now as they look for the line, and here it is. They've opened up Canberra, and young Stephen Hughes gets the try.
Well, too easy there. They finally cracked the Canberra team. Lovely ball from dummy half. I think it was from Jason Williams. It just opened up. Look, there's no one in it. Stewart's looking around, looking for people out wide. There's a huge gap there. I think the ball might have come from Williams or Dean Play, one of the twos.
Well, that's amazing there. Ricky Stewart is motioning for somebody to go there. He was the nearest man. And Stephen Hughes gets the ball down. He's had a great defensive game. Croker couldn't stop him. But an enormous gap there. Nagus is falling around. Daly slow up. The speed of the play, the ball was important. But that had been coming for a little while.
Stephen Hughes, this youngster, 7th try of the season. Fine young talent, the son of Gary Hughes, who was one of the great Canterbury players in the late 70s, early 80s, 5'8", and he had all the skills. 21 metres out, 12 metres in from touch for the game's best goal kicker, Daryl Halligan, and he has hit the upright and bounced away. At least we know now that he's human. 49 minutes gone. Canterbury 18, Canberra 12. Ball back to the restart point for Mal Meninga. 18 to 12 as Meninga gets the next passage of play underway for us, and Dimmick. Bella is sent back to the 20-metre line on the first tackle from the restart, and Dimmick chimes in to take out the second. Canterbury then certainly not overawed by the fact that they're playing against the team that everybody thought would, well, just about everybody thought would be the first team into the grand final.
Psychologically, Ray, the only positive thing to come out of that try from Canberra's point of view was the fact that Daryl Halligan was unsuccessful with the kick. That would have put them 8 clear. Now the Raiders are still within a converted try of the opposition. I just think that if they'd have had to score twice, it would have been a real problem for them as Terry Lamb finds open spaces between Nagus and Mullins. The ball bounces away from Mullins, but finally cleans up. A good chase again, 4 defenders.
Darren Smith launching himself in the tackle. They're on the 20-metre line. Nagus tries to get outside the 30-metre point. They're handy yards by the same token.
Yeah, these two sides right from the opening minute of the game have been able to go tit for tat in the try scoring department. But I think with less than half an hour to go in the game and the enthusiasm Canterbury are scoring, unless Canberra are next to score, if Canterbury happen to get first points on the board, I think they'll hold on.
Terry Lamb will be called out here for a high tackle. Saw Hetherington out there. Both Hetherington and Wesley have come into the game for the 2 props, Lomax and Pongia, and no doubt that Terry Lamb up around the neck area of Ruben Wiki. No, in fact, it was Wesley.
So the second caution for a high tackle. Very big crowd on hand, as I said, not far short, I thought, of capacity, and we weren't far wrong in that assessment. 41,865. 4.1865 is only about 1,500 below the ground record as Ruben Wiki, who's been well contained. In fact, the Canberra backline has been very much curtailed in what they can do. Every time Daly gets it, there's a ring of defence around him. Now, McCallum has ordered a knock on here. Canberra losing the ball. I thought he might have lost it behind him and then got it back in. Let's watch it again before we go down to the sidelines. It's David Wesley, the player in question. He offers the pass.
Well, how's that gone forward?
That's hundreds to go forward. It's gone backwards, then bounced forward, and that's not a knock on. So McCallum's come up with a wrong decision there, and Canterbury really going on with it now. I think they can go on and win this match just with the confidence they're playing at. Ray mentioned the Canberra outside backs. That all starts on the inside backs. Stewart and Daly both having quiet games and giving their outside backs an opportunity with room to move.
Canterbury now. That pass was forward from Dean Pay, and McCallum has ordered the advantage ruled. In other words, Canberra can play on, and Daly will play it 40 metres out from his own line. Let's go to the sidelines for a comment from Steve Roach.
Yeah, well, Mal Meninga keeps coming over to Greg McCallum to complain about the Canterbury Bulldogs laying on them in the tackle. He thinks that they should be getting more penalties.
All right, so it's played by Meninga. Walters goes out from dummy half and starts to make some inroads with those runs. And now Meninga, a dummy half, sends Bradley Clyde to about 35 metres out from the line. Clyde put down on the camera side or the broadcast side of the SFS across from Nandruku for Stewart to combine there with David Ferner, but Canterbury having no part of it. Bell able to read it, so was Hetherington. In fact, their reading of the Canberra attack has been homework very well done. The fifth tackle is with us, and will Stewart go to the air? He holds it and then chips it over the top of the three-quarters. Coming quickly, Nandruku. Halligan takes it, though, and takes it over the dead ball line. It's a line drop out to restart. Phil Gould.
Good result there from Canberra. Since half-time, Canterbury have made an adjustment in their defensive line. Craig Palmilla is filling in the hole between Jared McCracken, the left centre, and his winger. We noticed in the first half McCracken coming in and leaving his man, leaving a hole on the outside. No doubt they expect Canberra to try to exploit that, and Palmilla has been put up in the line outside McCracken. You can see from the line drop out, he'll take up that position for the next few tackles.
So the dropout by Halligan was very ordinary, and that's paying it a compliment as Ferner takes it back. But look at the driving defence from Canterbury. They knew it wasn't such a great drop kick, and the tackle of Smith and Lamb actually forced Canberra back another 4 or 5 metres. Wesley now, he plays the ball. Walters uses Clyde. Clyde has been an absolute workhorse for Canberra today. Upended and put away by Dean Pay. Walters looks at his blind side, and Stewart is there. They throw the dummy and keep going to the blind. Wiki is with it, but again, a swarm of these Bulldogs, a kennel full of them, in fact, over the top of him to make the tackle. Then on from Stewart, the long pass. They're covering plenty of ground as quick as they can. Meninga out wide for Nagus. Williams and Nagus. Nagus is taken to ground inside the touchline by Palmilla and Williams. The last tackle now, and it's back for Laurie Daly to kick, and he puts it high in the air. Not a bad kick. There's a Canberra player being knocked out of it in the back play. McCallum is looking at his touch judges. There's been nothing said, and play on. And Canterbury's Darren Smith is put down.
Sensational take there by Daryl Halligan. But again, the defence from Canterbury is just too good. Laurie Daly getting involved. Put up a good kick here because it gave his chasers time to get through. There you see one of the Canberra players taken out in back play. Great take from Halligan.
Well, there was no doubt in my mind that high shot showed us that the Canberra player was taken out by a Canterbury player, and a touch judge was entitled to come in. McCallum can't watch everything, but it should have been a penalty to Canberra on the Canterbury 20-metre line. Yes. Absolutely no doubt about it, as that kick for touch finds the line about 7 metres short of halfway.
It was Brett Mullins coming through, Ray, the best chaser of kicks in the Canberra side. I'm sure that he'd have been spotted by the Canterbury defence on those high kicks. They got away with that one. But at the end of it, not a good kick here. Again, it gives possession to Canberra 45 metres out. So they're getting a little bit of a roll on here. They've had some possession the last couple of minutes.
Similar position to a scrum where they lost in the first half against the Feed. Now they get a chance to go with the set sequence they missed out on earlier.
Clyde it is then, almost reaching the centre of the ground on the first play. Daly is the dummy half. Hetherington ran the decoy. Mullins chimes in. He's able to beat one, but not a second. Darren Britt wraps him up and puts him away.
Well, that play fell apart there. Laurie Daly was expecting a run on the outside. I think Meninga was supposed to be there. Instead, it was Mullins on his own.
Hetherington now is 40 metres out. 3 tries to 2 in favour of Canterbury. They lead by 18 to 12, and a bumping run by David Westley. Almost paying a very big dividend, but Canterbury now just trying to assemble their straight line defence as Stewart works with Meninga, and the big fella was tackled on the 5th tackle. 15 metres out from the Canterbury line. Walters goes to the right. Stewart, here's the reverse kick across the ground for Nandruku. Halligan takes it well, and Nandruku takes him.
Oh, he's a genius, Daryl Halligan. What a catch. Another one. Sensational from Daryl Halligan. That's twice he saved the day there for Canterbury.
I think it was a pretty ordinary kick from Ricky Stewart, really. They had a great line set out here, Canberra. I'm surprised they didn't run the football. Brad Clyde was out at outside centre. They had a lot of numbers. Good catch by Halligan, but really wasn't under that much pressure. The ball was flat.
18-12 then. Canterbury in front by 6 with 22 minutes of the match to go. Canterbury, the minor premiers. They've had 1 week's rest. Are they about to get another? And how will that shape them for match fitness coming into the grand final? There are divided thoughts on that subject. They're not there yet, though, as Mullins plays it. Nandruku pushes it across for Bradley Clyde, pursued and tackled by Halligan. Meaning that now we've got a blood bin.
Jason Hetherington off to the blood bin. And it looks like Mark Broganty, the man who's coming on.
Well, the Rugby League would not be disappointed with crowds. I mentioned this crowd is just short of ground record proportions. 36,000, 33,000 and 34,000. So they've really certainly got the crowds they expected to the best semi-final series I can remember.
Canberra just thrown out a little bit now by that tactic of Palmilla being in the line outside McCracken. No doubt Canberra spoke about playing to McCracken at half-time. That's thrown them out a little bit. And as Peter Sterling said, they've got to look to run the ball more to their left-hand side, Canterbury's right-hand defence. They're just thrown out a little bit by that tactic now from Canterbury.
In actual fact, you'll find that Broganty has come on for Bella, and Ben Gillies has come on in the hooking role in place of Hetherington.
David Ferner being dragged into the ground by Ben Gillies. The last tackle is with the Raiders, and Stewart puts a little kick over, looks for the regather, and big Darren Britt does well for a prop.
He has had a crackerjack of a game today, Darren Britt. He's been in everything, you know. He's offloaded as Williams goes for a trot around, and his defence covering back on the inside and around the rucks has been fantastic.
Sign of frustration, a chip kick from Ricky Stewart, normally not his tactic for himself anyway. And maybe a sign that Canberra are a bit frustrated by this Canterbury defence and they can't find a way through.
Well, if they're not filled, they should be, because it has been nigh on perfect.
Got to be patient in semi-final football. I mean, there is still 20 minutes to go and they are only 1 try behind. Those little miracle-type chip kick things that Stewart has tried. Much better getting the ball down into the end goal, trying to get some repeat sets of 6. Be patient and trust your ability to get the points.
Canterbury still prepared to throw the ball about. There's not even a hint of Canterbury going into a shell and being content with what they've done. They're still prepared to throw the ball about. I think Peter Sterling called it touch football stuff. They will pass under any circumstances, even with a 6-point lead and 20 minutes to go. Canberra now, they're starting to mount an attack just into Canterbury's area. It's with Ricky Stewart. He pirouettes and looking for runners, but I don't know that there's too much organisation out there today.
No, they're off.
They certainly have. They've lost their powers of communication. Walters does well, and he links there with 41. Is that David Boyle who's on? David Boyle is on in 41 as they come across for Ricky Stewart. Lamb came up out of the line. Daly probes in behind it now, trying to find that gap. Lamb rakes the ball down out of the grasp of David Westley. And Canterbury come up with the ball. Well, another interesting ruling there from referee McCallum. This is David Westley having the ball. We would have seen it raked out by Terry Lamb. And we would have thought that was a knock-on against Canterbury, but McCallum didn't see it that way. As it goes across now for Jim Dimmick to turn it back inside, and then we find Dean Pray giving a pass for Jason Hetherington, one that he didn't expect. Hetherington standing there like a set of scales and finish up with the football. Penalty goes to the Raiders now.
Still positive stuff though from Canterbury. I mean, they're trying to unload the ball. They realise they probably need to score again to win the game. They're not going to protect the 6-point lead. And whatever they're doing that and keeping pressure on the Canberra defence, they'll take some energy out of whatever attack Canberra can muster.
Brett Hetherington then for Canberra in jumper 42. He's on with Wesley in the blood bin, and Bella again. It's like General Hospital with Martin, a bit like Mario yesterday. And here's Croker straining up towards the 30-metre line. Across now for Stewart. Stewart goes back, and Daly looks up the centre. Clyde was the man waiting for it. Mullins was going with him. But Canterbury haven't allowed too much second phase play. Their defence has been unbelievable today. Daly now looks for the opening, thinks about passing, but always there's a blue and white jumper between the ball carrier and the ball support. It's away from Meninga. Meninga puts the kick into the corner. Williams goes back and watches it go over the sideline in touch. So it's a 20-metre restart.
Now again, I question the fact that they've run to the side where really there was more defence than attackers. To the left-hand side, look at that line from Canberra. There's 4 defenders from Canterbury on the far side, 5 up against 3 green jerseys. The kick went too long.
Simon Gillies going out in jumper number 40 now for the Bulldogs, the Hyundai Bulldogs. Darren Britt has come from the field. 18 to 12 then. Canterbury over Canberra. And looking at the clock, 17 to go. Are we going to have to work overtime tonight? That's very much a possibility.
Canberra just fumbling their way through with a few set plays at the moment. I think they need some direction from the sideline. I think someone on the sideline can have an input into their performance by just sending in a message and say, well, let's just go left all the time for a while and see how that gets us. They need some direction from the sideline to settle them down.
Jim Dimmick a couple of metres on his own side of the halfway. 5 tackles gone. It's across now for Polomauta's kick to go bouncing down favourably for Mullins. You're sitting up, Phil Gould, and watching the game from the highest elevation you've probably ever watched rugby league at the SFS. Do you find it easier here than maybe some of those coaches' positions they offer?
Well, it gives you a distorted view of the
Hold
game.
the phone, Phil. Here's a chance. Nagus down the sideline, cutting back in, looking for support, which arrived a touch late from Nandruku. Penalty Canberra. Sorry, Phil.
Yeah, it gives you a distorted view of the gaps out there. I mean, I personally like to sit where Tim Sheens is down on the sideline. You get a better feeling for your players and just how the trend of the game is going. I think he could feel the frustration that we're seeing from up here. He could feel it a lot better down there, being close to the action. And he's just got to make the decision whether or not he wants to interfere or just let them run their own race.
Played by Hetherington, and it goes across from Stewart. He aims it out to Wesley, and Wesley tackled in the centre of the ground, 28 metres out from the Canterbury line. And this is David Boyle with a bumping run that takes him within about 20 metres, a little bit less from that. Walter's the dummy half, away for Stewart. Stewart gets a decoy run from Clyde, goes around the back with a second man play for Meninga, and the captain is put away.
Again, they've gone to the wrong side of the field with limited numbers. I mean, the right-hand side field in Canterbury's defence is bare as compared to their left-hand side. And
Clyde using
going the wrong way.
But all the impetus of this attack has been wasted because they basically were allowed by Canterbury to stand and throw the ball about. A lot of ball movement, but no progress. They go to the right on the last tackle. It's out, and Ricky Stewart's knocked on, so that'll be a turnover.
Well, Ricky Stewart, he's not having a happy afternoon as there's a blow-up out here now. Laurie Daly holding on to Simon Gillies. David Furner looking to get involved as well. This is one thing Canterbury don't need, and that's what Craig Pollamouta is telling Simon Gillies. They're in front, they lead by 6. Under 15 to go. Can't afford to give away silly penalties down this end, especially when it's been the opposition who just made the mistake.
Let's have a look and see what happened here. Stewart knocks on. Furner tries to pick it up, and Gillies throws him out of the road. So Furner gets off a right shot, and
he's a bit of a sleeper in the fisticuffs department, David Furner. I wouldn't be taking him on.
Well, the penalty is going to go to Canterbury here. David Furner through the first punch. It was only jostling and pushing up until that stage, and that will go against his side. Ray, you talked about the chance of it being locked up. I don't think that will happen. In fact, I think when we get down the other end, Canterbury will take the first opportunity to kick the field goal that they can.
Well, this will be a much-needed penalty too for Canterbury, because they're behind in the penalties 10-4 now, but it'll give them an opportunity to get down into Canberra's half, somewhere they haven't been for, what, 10 or 15 minutes.
And if they do kick the field goal, Canberra cannot score twice.
heavy tackle on Brokenshire. And referee McCallum is going to put a scrum down. Well, Mark Brokenshire obviously has just lost it. This was the tackle. McCallum was standing over the top of them. Did it get some help from David Furner? The picture indicated that it might have. Stewart rifles a pass out for Wiki in at 5/8 and Daly at centre, and Mullins chimes in and then back for Daly, but everywhere Laurie Daly goes today there is somebody dragging around his legs. On that occasion it was Terry Lamb.
Well, that was the move that Brett Mullins scored from in the first half. They made sure it wasn't going to happen again. They read it perfectly that time. Brad Clyde now on the blind side of the ruck, can't get through.
18-12. You can feel the tension here. It's been a fairly subdued crowd in many respects, but I think that's because whether you follow Canterbury or Canberra, it doesn't matter. You've got to respect your opposition. Wesley now angling out and trying to get away from the clutches of this Canterbury tackler, who happens to be Jim Dimmock. Daly from dummy half for Stewart, who goes to the air. Mandruku's after it, but he left the mark pretty late, and Halligan again gets underneath it.
Oh, it's like shelling peas for Gerald Halligan. Too easy. No pressure on him on that occasion, and he took it with ease.
Time is starting to become very much the enemy of Canberra now. Down to 11.5 minutes.
Well, Daryl Halligan would have got fair warning in the first half, and I'd say he's coached at half-time. He dropped the bomb in the first half. Here's a chance for Canberra.
Turnover of possession quickly, and it's Daly working the angle with Meninga. Oh, that was a great tackle over there.
Mark Brokenshire, what a tackle.
Meninga to play it just inside the 20-metre line. A slow play the ball, and away from Walters, it's with Stewart, who goes back looking for his blindside runners, and Daly has put it down again, but backwards, said McCallum. This time, no knock on. They come to the left, and chiming in is Nagus. Nagus taken in a sandwich tackle. Ball played again, 11 metres out from the line, centre of the ground, Hetherington. He throws the dummy and takes the tackle. Gillies in jumper 40 over the top. And now they come left again for Stewart. Stewart decides to try himself, tries to push the pass, and Canterbury, they've scrambled well enough again.
And Mark Brokenshire has come out with his second crucial tackle in the last couple of minutes. A big hit on Ricky Stewart. Forced the mistake as Dimmock makes good ground. Look at him go!
Dimmock is away from his third defender. Pulled down near the halfway.
Well, this second half reminds me of yesterday afternoon. North's up against Brisbane. North's absorbed all the pressure, got to the other end, kicked the field goal that won them the game. I think we might see that again.
Canberra giving the impression that they're ready to have a try scored against them. They've been frustrated in their own efforts. And how many times do you see a team that's had their back to the wall come back and fairly quickly lay a try on? Dimmock is with it. 32 metres out from the Canberra line. Hetherington a dummy half. Away now for Terry Lamb, who tried to get a kick in. That came off his hand. The advantage rule applies. And Walters is with it for Canberra now.
Just getting back to Daryl Halligan. He dropped one bomb. Oh, no. Well, that's a bad mistake. Daryl Halligan in the first half dropped one bomb and let a couple bounce. I'm not quite sure Chris Anderson said to him, you're going to get plenty in the second half. And some of his takes today, he's had a tremendous winger's contribution, as too as his other one, Jason Williams.
Down to 9 minutes now. Blood Ben has been ordered on Mark Brokenshire. I wouldn't be surprised if that was one of Mal's knees. in that incredible tackle that he made on him.
Steve Fax having a good talk to Terry Lamb out in the back line. I don't think we'll see too many tackles before Terry Lamb pots one over for the 7-point break.
So Canterbury winning the scrum, and Craig Palmilla put down about 24 metres out from the Canberra line. Terry Lamb then is the man to watch. It'll probably be on this set of 6 that they'll go for it. And that will shut Canberra out of this and put them into another match with North Sydney next weekend as they go back towards the centre of the field, and that's where they're trying to be on the time that Terry Lamb, or whoever the appointed kicker is that wants it. It's with Lamb now, and he gets a pass inside, and that's Simon Gillies who's pulled down. Now they're only 10 metres out, and Lamb at first receiver. There he is. He puts it through the hands, through to Palmilla, and Palmilla is well and truly held. Walters the tackler, Stephen Hughes the dummy half. 5 tackles gone. And Hughes pirouettes away from dummy half and takes the tackle, so that's the turnover.
Well, that's unbelievable play there by Stephen Hughes. Terry Lamb was waiting on his left at an open goal 10 metres out, and he went the wrong way. Selfish play. Look at Lamb waiting on the left. Unbelievable.
15 out from the Canberra line then, and obviously a breakdown in communication. Stephen Hughes obviously didn't know it was the last tackle, and he was anxious to get a call. He obviously didn't get it because they've turned it over for Canberra now, and Meninga turns one inside for Nagus, who did well to juggle that ball in. Lamb is across in cover with Jason Williams. They're just outside the 20-metre line. It's across for Daly, and now that's Wesley galloping back into the middle. He's a player with a huge future, David Wesley. Playing it back for Walters, and it comes away for Stewart. Stewart onto the chest of Daly. Daly with a face pass. They've got outside them. This is Ruben Wiki. He draws the defence. Clyde's outside him. Clyde goes in, and it's been touched by Canterbury. Mullins is tackled. They're 19 out. They got 6 more tackles. Played back to Croker. Croker on for Daly. Daly now fires it up for Stewart. McCracken comes out of the line. Takes Ricky Stewart to ground. And now, juggled by Croker. I thought he was going to lose it. 11 metres out from the line. They would still have 4 tackles to go. Walters on for Stewart. Stewart for Daly. Daly probing. Runs into the shoulder of McCracken. 3 tackles left, I would imagine. And a shocking pass and a knock-on. Well, this is so unlike Canberra.
But it's what pressure is all about, and that's what they're under. They had a chance there. The dummy half pass from Mal is one that he'd like to pull back. And I think that's a knock-on. People are going to claim that he had control of it, Ricky Stewart. Brett Mullins looks like he could be a javelin thrower.
But how good's the Canterbury defence? You know, late in the game, 6 minutes to go, they make the long break, 6 against them, and their defensive line reformed so quickly, and was able to hold out the Canberra attack.
Canterbury then, with Terry Lamb taken by Daly and by Wiki. 5 3/4 minutes to go. Of course, if Canberra are to lose, and if they are carrying the injuries we're led to believe they are, and I don't think there's any doubt they are, particularly in the case of Laurie Daly, they're not going to have a week to get over it. They're going to have to take the punishment of a match in a final against a very tough side in North Sydney. And this is Dean Pay, almost out of the 40-metre line. 18 points to 12. 5 minutes to go. 3 tries to 2 in favour of Canterbury. As Lamb drops it onto the boot, and Mullins goes across, and Andruku will be with him. Mullins now comes off his 10-metre line.
The last time Canberra had the ball deep in their own half, they finally spread the ball to their left, which we've talked about, and found a big gap. They've just got to work this back towards the middle and come back to Kenny Nagus' Ndruku's wing over here, with Mullins chiming in.
Well, they're 30 metres away from their own line now, and McCracken comes up. He misses his mark. He missed Daly. That's the risk he runs. Here's Croker chiming in. He scored a heap of tries this year, but he's tackled. Pulled down by Scott Wilson, so the fullback is up now. Walters away for Stewart. Stewart dummies inside, goes outside for Nandruku. Nandruku comes to Halligan, and Halligan pulls him down. Wiki the dummy half. Stewart wants it, and Stewart waving players around him. He keeps going to the right. It's out there with David Boyle. Boyle finds Meninga. Meninga is tackled. As we look at the timepiece, there's 4 minutes to go, and 18-12 in favour of Canterbury. And this is the 5th tackle as Stewart rolls it in behind the winger Williams. Will he get back into the field of play? Yes, he does. Nagus is there, and Williams will play it a couple of metres out from his own line.
Well, that was 3 metres away from being the perfect kick from Ricky Stewart. He knew that he had to get another set of 6. The way to do that was to get them in the in-goal area. It just didn't go far enough in as McCracken now brings it out to the 15-metre mark. Nothing silly from the Bulldogs now. I'll just try and wind this clock down, work it for 5 and get a long kick in at the end.
20 metres out from their own line with Darren Britt playing it, and now Darren Smith. And Smith put down about 28 metres out from the Canterbury line. 3 1/4 minutes to go as they kick, and the field position is pretty good for Canberra. Mullins will get it back on the first tackle over the halfway. He leaves 2 behind him and is pulled down on the 40-metre line. So it's great field position for the Raiders. Wiki fires the pass out. Hetherington pushes it on, and here's Furner. Furner, he puts the sidestep on, but Scott Wilson's equal to it. Walters goes into dummy half. They want to quick play the ball. He got that. Stewart inside. Hetherington's with it. They're tackled 15 out from the line now. Again, Walters looking for the call. Picks up Wesley. Wesley goes to the 10-metre line. He's tackled. Walters again looking for the call, waiting for Stewart to get back to the playmaker position. He's there now. Across for Laurie Daly. Daly runs to the line, and Mal Meninga doesn't catch it. He just pushes the ball on. Nagus got a pass back. Meninga is tackled. It's still with Canberra, but now Canterbury have come up with it. Simon Gillies has come up with the ball.
Canterbury, they're everywhere. Hanging on to their 6-point lead. Canberra have tried everything today to break this Canterbury defence. They've done it a couple of times, but this is just sensational defence. And they should be the first team into the grand final, Canterbury, playing for time now. Simon Gillies, the man on the spot.
Just on 2 minutes to go, but we've got time out. 18-12, Canterbury over Canberra. As Darren Smith is tackled, Canberra, I get the feeling, have had their last opportunity to win or to draw. And that is gone now. It just depends on what happens, I suppose, on the end of this, because they can score a try from anywhere. Hughes' pass goes across. A pretty dangerous pass, really, to be throwing at this time in the game. It was a long pass, and Pay is with it. Fortunately for Canterbury, it's back now for Lamb. He kicks, and again Canberra, they're going to have the ball in good field position because Nandruku is tackled just 35 metres out. Now there's 1 minute and 20 seconds remaining in the game as Canberra on their second tackle with Stewart forcing it across the ground quickly. Croker, he's trying to find an opening. McCracken is there to accept him and pull him down. Right on the 40-metre line, Walters, away it goes now for David Boyle, and Boyle a grassing tackle. The ball didn't touch the ground. Play on. Walters away now and tackled in the centre of the field. It appears to be David Boyle, I think. It's come across now with Walters. Walters going up the centre, pulled down by Darren Britt. They're 21 metres out. There's 45 seconds left on the clock approximately. It comes across for Ricky Stewart. He dummies and then jinks, and there's Furner. Furner gets it away. Wesley, he puts it down under the bar. We are looking at a draw.
Oh, David Furner, Ricky Stewart. They've probed, they've schemed.
Oh boy, what a finish.
And have a look at this. Ricky Stewart, there's nothing on. There's 40 seconds on the clock. There was one lazy play, and it was Jared McCracken. Didn't come in. Wesley, he's made a difference in this second half. The Bulldogs so close, but so far, McCracken didn't come across. Should have got Furner. Beat the tackle of Scott Wilson. Unloaded to Wesley. Under the post. Unbelievable.
Well, when they got the football back, they had 1 minute and 20 left. If any team in this comp can scheme a try in that sort of time, it's Canberra. And they've done that to force this game after Furner kicks the goal into extra time.
Well, it obviously takes a great side to to even be looking down the barrel of a draw.
Told you we wouldn't
with
have
the
one,
scores
Ray.
level at full time, a further 10 minutes each way will be played. I suppose we go back to an opportunity Canterbury had for a drop goal about 5 minutes back. David Furner right in front, 11 metres out, and there it is. It's a draw at full time. 18 points all.
Unbelievable. 18 all here. 15-14 yesterday. We talked about a close semi-final series. Never envisaged it would be anything like this. Another 20 minutes for these 26 Warriors. Well, 34 of them. I think we'll see plenty of fresh players out there when the opportunity arises.
Well, all the boys look at the gauges to see what's left in the tank. Chris Anderson there. They had it won. They were in the grand final with Canberra. Came good with a great try. And who will finish the stronger? It's been all Canberra the second half.
I'm just wondering, Paul and Peter and yourself, better than anybody to ask, that week off for Canterbury last weekend, given that they're now into extra time, is that an advantage or a disadvantage?
I'd like to be the fresh team, Ray. I think defensively they've been great. One lapse at the end there, and it was only one player who didn't come across. On the other point of view, of course, is the fact that these players, these Canberra players, they're hardened. They've had to do it week in, week out. I don't know. I can't pick it. I'm just looking forward to the next 20.
Steve on the sidelines. Big fella, where are you?
I'm down on the sideline still, mate. Great match this. I was just watching both sides. Canberra got all in together and started chatting it up. Canterbury walked back to their positions. Most of their players had their head down. I don't know if it means anything, but Canberra might get away with this one.
And Canberra have got the breeze at their back for the first 10 minutes of this. Tell you what, a couple of those line dropouts from Canterbury in the dying minutes, you might have heard me say how Canberra had come up with the ball in great field position. That breeze, I'm wondering whether it may not have swung around a little bit. Canterbury is with it now on their own 20-metre line as Scott Wilson unloads for Jim Dimmick, and I guess Canberra now, Peter Sterling, they'll be on the balls of their feet rather than their heels now.
Well, that's right. Again, psychologically, they were gone. They were in the back of their minds. They were looking at a game next week, and all of a sudden, one piece of play has given them an opportunity, and this game is all about opportunities. You don't let them pass when they present themselves, and that's going to help Dimmick.
Dimmick has put it out on the full. That's a big plus for Canberra. And that is the turnover. They will go into that situation 40 metres out from the Canterbury line. So what will be the plan now, Peter? Will they go down there, strive for the try, or will they have in their minds a drop goal just to break the deadlock?
No, I think tries, Ray. I think that they've got to score more than 1 point. That won't be enough. Really now what you've got to play is good field position. So if they get down to the opponent's end and cannot score the try, roll it into the in-goal area. Eventually fatigue is going to come into play and somebody's going to crack.
Well, there's Stewart going for the drop goal from way out. It bounces on its point. It's in the end goal. Down the ground comes Nandruku. He makes the tackle on Halligan, and I don't think he got there. It's a line drop out to restart.
Well, Daryl Halligan, he could have possibly used Scott Wilson, who was there in support, but then you've got the danger of passing in goal. Great work by the Canberra defence, Nandruku. He actually got to the line, but was forced back. You're a good judge, Pete. Wouldn't go for the field goal.
No, he kicked it in the in-goal area to get another set of 6.
Oh, would have been a long time to hang on, wouldn't it, for 1 point, 18 minutes.
So we're in extra time at the major semi-final, 10 minutes each way. This is not a case of who scores first wins. Let's make that clear. And we're 22 metres out from the Canterbury line as the ball is played by Furner. You could call him the match breaker, David Furner. David Wesley, I made the comment, my goodness, how good is he going to be? He scored the try. This is him with it now. He plays the ball now, Wesley. 15 out from the Canterbury line. It's with Stewart. He goes wide. Meninga's there. Meninga stands and pushes it back for David Boyle, who tries to split between McCracken and another. And he's pulled down 15 metres out from the Canterbury line. The dummy half is Nagus. It's across to Stewart. Plenty of these people are standing still. Daly goes for the drop goal. This one hits the upright, bounces back, and Wilson is alert. And Wilson beats the tackle of Croker.
Well,
They don't come much closer than that.
they're pretty keen on this field goal, aren't they? I mean,
Well, Sterlo said they wouldn't be going for it.
well,
so-
cycle. Oh, you're kidding. What about that? 10 metres out from your own line. A mistake.
There's Darren Smith. He's discarded the headgear. What about you? They don't go much closer than that. You're right. That's not very obvious. That hit the post.
Hang on a second. I wasn't trying to get into a comedy situation. If you say that the try is the option, I'm happy to run with that given your record, but I'm amazed that they have gone against that quite bluntly on 2 occasions. It's with Daly and Ricky and then Meninga. Mullins is in there and he gets it on for Nagas, who beats McCracken. Stands up and tries to shovel it, but Canterbury are with it.
Scotty Wilson getting in between the passer and receiver as Jason Williams. Oh, that's dangerous down the blind side. Well wrapped up by Nagas.
From Lamb then, in field, and it's with Simon Gillies, and he's just outside the 20-metre line. The dummy half is Hetherington, and running it out is Darren Britt. Canterbury have been on the wrong end of the ledger in extra time, which has now had 4.5 minutes elapse.
Well, I'll go out on another limb, Ray. I'll say that if Canterbury do get to the other end with more than 2 minutes remaining, they'll go for the try.
All right, Pete, as Lamb it is, running towards the halfway, and Palmilla's kick came off a Canberra player who didn't plant the ball. McCracken is with it, and referee McCallum did not start the tackle count again. That's the turnover. Canberra, they keep coming back with the ball in very good field position. That's one thing Canterbury has failed to do for the latter part of the game, is give over possession in reasonable territory.
Well, Canterbury have not been inside the Canberra 20-metre zone or even in their half for it must be half an hour now. So they're doing it all the hard way, Canterbury. I'm just wondering, one thing that might come into it is the number of fresh replacements that both teams have available, because you'd love to get some fresh bodies on there around now.
Here's the long ball coming up for Daly, and here's Ferner again. Got his pass away for Mullins. Mullins has got one to beat. Beats him and is taken from behind by Hetherington. Put that down as one of the tackles of the game. Here's Meninga across for Stewart. This is the last tackle. The flick pass inside. Ferner, he's on duty again, and he's pulled down 9 metres out.
And Hetherington pulls off his second try saver in a matter of seconds. What a tackle that was on Mullins.
So, Scott Wilson, he's tackled now, 15 out from his own line. A player down injured in back play is a Canterbury player.
It is Hetherington after that second very good tackle, but Canterbury, they're doing it very hard, getting out of their own territory now. Some of the forwards are very, very tired.
Palmilla plays the ball. We've got 3 minutes and 50 seconds of the first session to go. 10 minutes of extra time when the scores were locked together at 18 all. At full time, Jim Dimmock is held by Canberra defenders. There wasn't a great amount of Canterbury players there to support Jim Dimmock. 5 tackles gone, and it's gone across for Terry Lamb. He goes across for the kick for Stephen Hughes and Jarrett. Oh, Halligan on the far wing was leading the race for the ball, but he got an awful bounce, and this is Mullins with it now. Ruku sweeping it away for Daly. Daly out to the 20-metre line. 3 minutes almost to go in the first half of extra time. And pulled down is Nandruku. Keep in mind, as his deadlock is not broken, we come back here and do it all again on Tuesday, which of course would be playing right into the hands of the North Sydney Bears as Walters tries to break the deadlock. He's 8 metres away from the halfway line. This is the last tackle. Stewart puts it through the hands. Daly falls over, rakes the ball out the back, and Stewart kicks it over the sideline. So that's the turnover, and for once in the latter part of the game, Canterbury will come up with their first play in very good field possession. Yeah. Across for Hetherington now. It's with Lamb. He turns it back inside for Dimmock, and Dimmock is pulled down by Wesley and Hetherington.
Just over 2 minutes to go here. Disorganised Canterbury. Now they do have to get in position to kick the field goal.
So 2 minutes and 5 seconds to go as they try and take it down towards the Canberra goalposts, and of course setting, I would imagine, setting for their captain to take a shot. It mightn't have been their first option. Oh, Lamb! He's into space! Here comes Wilson! Here comes Palmilla! He loses the ball! The line was open, but Nagus, he's pulled off the tackle of a Messiah.
Well, Terry Lamb, he feigned for a field goal, then the gap opened up and he went through it. He had support both on the inside and out, went through Ferner and Stewart and away. Wilson's on the inside, he didn't hear or see him. And Palmilla, what about this for a tackle? Nagus.
Wow. That was 6 points looking them in the eye. Nagus, he came flying through the air like an angel.
Well, back on the inside, they wouldn't have got Scott Wilson. He was completely unmarked.
Oh, well, we'll have a look at that later. I think he had Jason Croker or David Boyle there.
So now Canberra's Ricky Stewart is tackled 11 metres out from his line, and I guess they'll just simply soak up the last 50 seconds or so of the first half of extra time. What a thought that you've got to come back and do it again on Tuesday. I would imagine that Canterbury in that event would have to start favourites. Hetherington plays it just outside the 20-metre line, and this is Wesley. My goodness, he's made an impact on the game, David Wesley.
He's had a great game, David Wesley, and wouldn't surprise me if he's playing State of Origin football next year as Croker goes through. He's a Queenslander, and he was in the train-on squad for them this year.
This is the last tackle coming up for the Raiders as Daly serves it up for Stewart. Stewart puts the chip in, looking for Mullins. Mullins gets the regather. Can he pass? Yes, he can. Croker gets it away. Now Wiki, he gets it on. It's still play on. It's been knocked backwards. It's with Nandruku. Nandruku taken by Halligan. And that will be the turnover. Up they go, the crowd, and down they go again. And the siren is about to end this first 10-minute segment. Turn around and do it again for another 10. 18 points all, 10 minutes of extra time to come. $18 points all. Well, I can assure you that there are more than just players getting their breath back. Fatty, I don't think I've seen you quite so distressed. You've really worked hard today.
Oh, look, I've made 75 tackles today and made 14 breaks. I'm very tired.
That's more than he did in 15 years.
What about you? You haven't even got a hair out of place. That's how good you're going. I'm told now that the replay, if there is to be one, will be Wednesday, not Tuesday. Ken Nagus, if it wasn't for him, it might have been well and truly over. Dean Pray has got a nasty left eye, and it looks like he's been... Couldn't see why he sent to the sin bin. There's no sight of blood. Mullins sending his captain back at them, and Meninga, he makes no secret of the fact he'd like to get another grand final under his belt before his retirement.
And if it was deadlocked, Ray, after this next 10 minutes, the game on Wednesday would be a night game, a 7:30 kickoff here. I wonder if we'll get to that. We've got two of the best exponents of field goal kicking in these sides, in Stewart and Terry Lamb. You wouldn't think that would be the case, but both sides know that is going to be an option, so they're going to be doing it under pressure.
So it's almost come down to a battle of attrition, this one, with Stewart kicking down deep into the corner. Wilson's got a long run, and it's going over the dead ball line. I don't know that Ricky Stewart will be totally happy with that.
No, that was a pretty ordinary kick under the circumstances, although it does allow them to get their defence set.
Yeah, I disagree. I don't think that was that bad a kick. I think that had to be the tactic early on. Get down the other end. They're going to try and force the mistake now, and they've had a chance to get their defence set. This is the end of the field they've got to be to win.
Martin Bella. 100 minutes of football. That's what they've been commanded to do. To make the grand final. Can they break it? Can they break the 18 points all? Across from Palmilla to Lamb as Canterbury tried to get outside them. The pass back to Palmilla. And Craig is pulled down 40 metres out from his own line. Played back for Scott Wilson, and now for Jim Dimmock. Dimmock to the halfway line, runs into a pretty heavy battering from the Canberra defence. Your Sunday afternoon's television entertainment, I think I might be able to say with a surety, has turned out to be something very special if you're watching us around Australia. As Lamb puts the kick in, what's it going to do? Nandruku gets a bounce, he goes away from his sideline. And that's been a good battle there between Halligan and Nandruku today. Ruben Wiki, he's a dummy half. I was about to say he hasn't had the game that we've come to know from him, but then again, with Canterbury's defence, it hasn't been made for Ruben Wiki, has it? Now, this is David Boyle, taken by Darren Smith, and they're 35 metres away from their own line, Canberra, with 7.5 minutes of time remaining. 7.5 minutes, and if nothing happens on the scoreboard, we are back, we're told now, Wednesday night. Wednesday night is Wesley, who scored the try right on full time. He plays the ball 40 metres out from his own line on tackle number 5. Stewart puts it through the hands. Daly is with it. He kicks, but the chase is not as urgent. I'm just looking over there. I realise it's gone into touch, but I thought Nagus would be after it, but he certainly wasn't. And so the scrum will go down about 25 metres out from the Canberra line, or from the Canterbury line, I should say. This crowd, not one of them has even ventured out of their seats. 41,800 odd, just 1,500 approximately below the ground record crowd. I don't think there was any doubt that these two sides were the two sides that everybody was wanting to see. And it stands the game in great stead for the grand final, no matter who it's going to be. This is Jason Williams now, 28 metres out from his line, and it's a game being played in slow motion almost, but then why wouldn't it be? They've been out there now for over 90 minutes. And this is Mark Brokenshire, who pulled off a couple of great tackles. And if it wasn't for tackles like the ones pulled off by Brokenshire and Jason Williams and Ken Nagus, they're the tackles that come to mind most readily. Jason Hetherington, we wouldn't be here. It's across from Palmilla, and then angling up the centre is Simon Gillies. 5 tackles gone for Canterbury. They have slugged their way to that position, and now Lamb puts in a kick just over the head of the 3/4. Nagus was going backwards to come forward, and now Nagus sprints, Nagus turns, Nagus gets inside the 40-metre line. 38 out, in fact. He's a deceptive runner. Stewart goes back to the blind side, and now Meninga's on his Pat Malone as he comes back in, gets rid of one, back for Daly, and Daly is put away. Tackled by Simon Gillies. They're 30 metres out from the line. It's with Ricky Stewart. Stewart a short pass for Brad Clyde, and Clyde is wrestled down. They're 25 out from the Canterbury line. Hetherington goes away in jumper 42. He's 18 metres out from the Canterbury line. 18 points all. 5 minutes to go. Stewart thought about a drop goal. So does Meninga. Meninga then brushes away a player and is tackled on the 20-metre line. Walters. Where's Stewart? He's about 20 metres away. Wesley runs decoy. Stewart gets the shot in. Hits the upright and bounces away. Halligan, can he get back? Yes, he can. Does a fine job. Out to the 10-metre line.
Well, this game has had absolutely everything. Another one hitting the post. 4:29 on the clock. Canterbury have got to go the full length here. This has just been the best game of football that I can remember.
It is quite incredible, and you made the point rightly, that probably the 2 best shooters for drop goals in the game are engaging here. And Ricky Stewart's had 2 shots. Laurie Daly 1. Terry Lamb had to go early in the game, but they've been off their goal-kicking responsibilities today. Lamb now clears it, and it goes down over the head of Mullins. And of course, from a broken set of situations, he can do anything. Back he comes, and Mullins is tackled 25 out from his own line.
Well, Canterbury will be sweating on a Canberra mistake here with only 3.5 minutes remaining. They need to get the ball in good field position to try and work for that field goal.
Mandruku to play it. Some of the Canberra players, would you believe, are still getting back into an onside position. 18 points all and 3 minutes 25. 3:25 on the clock. And that's all we've got between us and coming back again on Wednesday night. Bradley Clyde is tackled 12 metres his side of halfway.
This has been a pretty ordinary set of 6 here until that run from Brad Clyde, followed up by Wesley. They wasted 3 rucks early on. They've got to kick now, and Stewart.
Well, a hesitation there from Walters. Stewart gets his kick in. Will it bounce in the field of play? It does. Williams is back on his 20-metre line. And the question is, was Nagus onside? Williams gets around him. Stewart's going across in cover. So is Mullins. And Williams is pulled down 28 metres out. But that's the first tackle. They got a great chance of setting for the drop goal. Canterbury now across to Hetherington. On for Darren Smith. Now for Terry Lamb. He goes back. He's up to the 20-metre line. He's beyond. He's run into Ricky Stewart and Jason Croker. Canterbury now, they got a great chance. That's their second tackle. Out from dummy half, Hetherington, he's pulled down 2 metres from the line.
Daryl Halligan, he's
their
behind.
Third tackle.
Halligan.
Dummy half is Demick. Back it goes, Halligan. Halligan, he gets the shot in. I think it's there. Yes, it is. There's the try, there's the goal that breaks the deadlock. 19-18. Daryl Halligan. Look at this run by Jason Williams. A long, long run of 60 or 70 metres.
Now that was the play of the match, and here comes the second best player of the match, that one, Daryl Halligan. He was the man, apart from Terry Lamb, who could kick a field goal. Tim Sheens looks on. Oh, there's a mistake. Hang on, hold the phone, it's not over.
19-18, 1.5 minutes to go, and the Raiders come up with it as Daly takes it to the 30-metre line. Walters goes to dummy half.
Well,
1 minute and 20 seconds to go. Stewart with a long pass, out for Bradley Clyde, gets the pass away, but Canterbury have come up with it. Darren Smith will play the ball.
Well, give me oxygen quickly. Jason Williams, when he stood up Ken Nagus and sprinted 60 metres down the line, that was the play of the game. Put Canterbury into the match-winning situation.
55 seconds on the clock as Terry Lamb is put away 30 metres out from his line. 19-18 in the 99th minute of the game.
We've still got to be positive here, Canterbury.
They've also got to be very wary of not getting pinched for a voluntary tackle.
Oh, there's 34 seconds to go, they're home.
Oh, brave comment, brave comment.
Oh, no,
Lamb's kick has been taken by Wiki. He loses the ball, and Wesley comes up with it, but it will be a scrum, which will barely have time to form. Well, what an incredible set of circumstances have unfolded here. The crowd counted down. 19-18, and Canterbury goes straight to the grand final. Minor premiers first through. After 20 minutes of extra time, they defeated Canberra by 1 point in front of a crowd just 1,500 short of a ground record. The MMI man of the match, Jason Hetherington, the Canterbury hooker. Jason Hetherington, the MMI Insurance man of the match. There's nothing more to tell you. Many of us have been here over time. I hope you enjoyed it. Canterbury 19, Canberra 18. The Raiders to play the Bears next Sunday. And Canterbury through to the grand final. He hits it, he's got it!